So I think
Go ahead.
number one thing that we can do just based on the conversation of what we said today, and you do number two. What do you
I
think we
think
can
I
do?
think
So I've got number three that I
yes.
think.
I would add one more there,
Go
which
on,
would
you go on.
as
40 weeks for men. 40 weeks for men. 40 weeks for men.
the agency, but you can call me George. Really happy to be with you here, and thank you again for all the work that you do. As you said, Dads, we're in this together. We're not perfect, but it's always nice to share our experiences and try to help each other, as you said, in this crazy world, to try to do the best we can.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And you guys, I hope you know me already. I'm Chris, the founding father of 40 Books Men, the podcast resource that's all for families, really to enthuse families to be better at what they do, just like the agency Georgia is saying. Is what's your personal perspective when thinking about using music as a tool to influence your mental health or your family?
Right. Well, this perfect first question because it really cuts to the heart of it. And I think I would look at it from two ways. One is as somebody who creates music, it has a particular meaning and impact on mental health. And then, of course, as a consumer of music, someone who listens to music and shares music with others, that also has is an important part of the way that I process the world is through music. So, as a creator, I often say when people say they listen to my songs and say, "Oh, who did you write that song for?" And
Mm,
my answer is always the song is inspired by someone or dedicated to someone or something, but it's for me. It's my way of processing everything that I'm observing and feeling, particularly on very
mm,
heavy things. Typically, we look at a love song as, a man to woman or an object of desire or affection
mm,
in a romantic context. But
mm,
as you get older and you become a dad, you realize the love that a parent has for his child is
mm.
even more powerful than that. And I've channeled that
Yeah.
into my songs as a way of processing not just the joy, but also the fear of parenthood. I mean, that's a very,
Mm,
very heavy responsibility, especially that first time they put a newborn in your arms and you wonder, are you ready for it? Do you
yeah.
deserve it? Can you handle it? And so that became a way of through music, through writing songs dedicated to my sons,
Mm.
of channeling that love and that fear and all of those emotions because we have to find a way um,
Yeah, this is
to put that
very
across
well.
because look, a lot of dads, we like to play it tough, we like to act like we're in control, this is the way that
Yeah.
we're conditioned, be a man and all that stuff. And look, I get all that. I'm a prime example of that in certain situations, but there's also times when we can say, you know what, let's admit it. It was fine. We were able to go to IKEA and assemble that crib, but we're able to do all the stuff and make money and put money on the side and do all the things that we're supposed to do as dads. But from the emotional side, that's a pretty heavy responsibility.
So
And
true.
and that first moment, you're really not ready for it. And I think we'd all be better off if we just recognize that and talk about it. So
Mm,
from that point of view, as a creator, it's important as a way of processing through all that. On the second part, as someone who listens to music, I mean, we all listen to music. Some people are more into it than others. Some people it's just background noise. It just makes them feel a certain way. But the interesting bit that it comes full circle because when you are these days when you're creating music, you have to do everything yourself. You've got to promote it yourself. You don't have the old
yeah.
days. If you're lucky, you got a record label and a record deal, and the record company would do everything for you. Now, if you're trying
Yeah.
to make music, on the plus side, it's very easy to create music and inexpensive to create music. People do it. There's multi-million streaming songwriters that never leave their bedroom and they're just on their laptop and they're able to make amazing music that touches a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's very, very affordable to do that. On the other side, you've got to do everything yourself. You've got to be a photographer, videographer, video editor, a graphic
Hey,
designer,
yeah.
marketing specialist, social media content
Oh,
creator, all of that
yeah.
stuff. And so when you're trying to learn about how to do all of that, you come across people who advise you. And the main takeaway is music is not just a an art form. It is a song is like a mood enhancing drug for people who
Yeah.
when they would rather feel a way that they're not currently feeling. And that goes, it's not just I'm sad, I want to be happy. It's sometimes I'm sad and I want to feel comforted. I'm sad, I want to feel
Mm,
solace. I want to feel something cathartic. Or I'm happy and I want to feel like I'm partying. I want to feel like I'm
yeah.
lustful. I want to feel that, that desire, that attraction.
Yeah.
Every one of us has songs that we go to in those moments. And so that plays maybe not directly saying, I'm not feeling particularly mentally stable or mentally healthy right now. Let me listen to a song. It's not that explicit. It's just saying, I'm feeling a certain way. I want to hear that song. That song always
Yeah.
makes me feel better in this situation or makes me feel good in this situation. And so we all do that in our way.
Yeah, I
And it
agree.
doesn't have to be so explicit, but this is part of the human experience. Music has been
Mm.
around since the first string vibrated, since the first caveman that banged two rocks together to make a rhythm
Sick.
for
Sick.
whatever reason, to express his joy, his sadness, or whatever. That's part of us. That's part of our entire existence on this planet. And these days we're very sophisticated about how we can express that. But I think it's a wonderful thing, and I'm really happy to have the opportunity to do it. Like I said, these days anybody pretty much can do it. It's really great
Did say, yeah.
how accessible it is to be able to have this art form to express our feelings and, as you say, to comfort ourselves and to promote a
Yeah.
better mental state of being.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've got a really good point, George, because really, let's think about this. Like, a lot of the time, we use music just automatically
Right.
to express how we feel. We don't actually realize that actually we're doing that. And actually, what you're saying is that music is a tool in order to express our feelings and emotions. And actually, I'm sure, I hope you listened to a couple of episodes that we've done. But a lot of dads have said that one of the hardest things about having a pregnant partner or being a new dad, sort of like you've alluded to, is not feeling like you can express yourself.
Yeah.
Just feeling very sort of bottled up. And yeah, you're right, we do this man thing where it's just like, oh, whatever, it's just my emotions. But actually, when we're thinking of mental health, like when I spoke to my friend who's actually a medical doctor, and he does a lot around mental health, and he's like, with men, usually what happens that we express ourselves in crisis mode. So
Hmm.
we bottle everything up so much and then we explode and people
Right.
are like, oh, why is that person exploding? And actually music, it seems like what you're saying from your perspective, music is something that can release the pressure little by little by little by little rather than just that big explosion that ruins everything and that can
Chris,
make
you remind me of when we were kids. I don't remember which cartoon it was. Maybe it was Bugs Bunny. I think it was something in Bugs Bunny where in that saying, "Music
yeah,
soothes the savage beast." And I always remember those words in my head. But it's basically what you're saying. Not that we're savage beasts, but yes, when we bottle things up, and it's not
yeah,
healthy to do that. We all know that. We're all guilty of it. We all know we shouldn't do that. But we do.
yeah,
But music can be a part of that, where it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna, for me, I mean, I grew up, in a family that treasured music. It was always around the house. It was always we took less piano lessons as kids, so it was very much instilled in us.
mm,
Um, and again, for some people, it's not so obvious. They don't have as much emotional connection to music. But I think for most people, it's a pretty powerful thing, and I think it's a really useful one that we should rely on, and we should be cognizant of the
yeah,
way music can help us cope with all of these things. Because you know, not a question of people who are really in a desperate situation, but all of us have stresses from day to day. All of us have
yeah,
times that
so
are
true.
difficult, and that we snap when we shouldn't, or we're not
Mm,
as patient as we
yeah,
need to be. And my songs talk about that it's expressing in the lyrics that I know as a dad, it's my responsibility to be patient. It's my responsibility to do right by you, and I'm not always up to the measure on that. So we gotta try our best.
yeah. That's a really good one, and I'm really hoping that people watch this video or this of us talking and realize that actually they can be more cognizant, like you said, cognizant of this tool of music and using it not only just to make yourself feel better, but also to express yourself. And
Hmm.
actually creating music like you do is not for everyone, but some people can do that. And actually, this is a good way to actually optimize our mental health because having a baby, as you said, it can be very challenging for our mental health. So music
Absolutely,
can be a
we've all been
tool.
there.
Yeah, for real. Let's go to question two, boss.
Yes.
So let's think about what do we want our listeners to take away from our conversation today?
I think if each person would maybe be more explicit about the relationship with music and how it can help them to be a better dad, to be a better partner, or just to be more. I don't want to say in control because when you say to be in control, it's like you're implying that you're suppressing something else. But just to be more mindful of your state and what you're feeling, and maybe be more explicit about it. And say, okay, what are the songs that, if I really would think about it, what is a song that would calm me down in a certain situation? What's a song that would make me feel at
Yeah,
peace? What's a song that would give me energy? What's a song that would make me appreciate all the things that I have? Whether it's because of the lyrics or just because of the music. I mean, some of the most
yeah,
beautiful music ever written, it doesn't have words to it, but it still makes you feel a certain way. It still conveys a certain emotion, and that's again, that's innate in the human experience. If
yeah,
you listen
so
to even
true.
Mozart or Beethoven symphonies or Bach fugues, there's emotion in there, and they're expressing love or frustration or fear, all of that stuff, even though they're not words
Yeah,
associated with it. So whatever that is for whoever it is, in whatever language it is, or whatever kind of song, whatever genre, it doesn't matter. Music is music, and
yeah,
so each person, I think, if taken away from this discussion, would be wise to say, what are some songs that make me feel better? What are
that's
some
the
songs
way.
that comfort me in a certain situation? And then
So
have those,
true.
make a playlist of those that you can go to in a particular case, because it's better than a lot of other alternatives. Again, if we're going to say
Yeah,
music is a mood altering drug, well, that's a hell of a lot more healthy one to use than some other things
yeah,
that might be
yeah,
there in certain
very true.
situations. And so it's something that's very human. It's very natural for us, and we should embrace it.
Yeah, see, you're so right, bro. Like, to be honest, like, we're thinking about this. We did like a little sort of episode about diet and exercise. And actually, I did more reading around it, and I realized that actually more people, when they can become dads, they become more like they eat worse foods on
Hmm.
average, and more people become smokers and drinkers more, like because the stress. And
It's old.
actually
It's a
this,
story as
yeah,
old as time, Chris.
telling you, really is a story as old as time. And actually, this could be a tool to really help people traverse the journey of fatherhood. And actually, not just traverse it in a bad way, but actually see the stress and cope with the stress better. And I like we said, you're right. It's not about controlling yourself. It's just about being more aware of where
Yeah,
you are and the stresses that you will face and
yeah,
using music as a tool. This is
right.
good, man. Yeah,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
the dad who says, "Oh no, everything was cool. It was so easy to be a new." Come on, who are you kidding? No, no, nobody nobody who's being honest with himself could ever say that. It's very,
Yeah.
very difficult. It's probably
Yeah.
more difficult for the moms. We got to be there for them as well. I mean, that's part of our
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah.
But again, it's just be aware of it, be mindful of it. You don't need to be perfect. None of us are ever going to be
No.
perfect, but find ways to cope with it and to get through it in a way that improves you, makes you better for the next time, prepares you. I mean, the second child is easier than the first one because you've learned.
Yeah.
One thing humans can do is we can learn and we
You can
can
learn.
assimilate new experiences and we can improve and we can adapt ourselves to
Yep.
cope with difficult and challenging circumstances.
Very true, very true. So we've spoken about it a little bit, but I've said the third question, so we keep moving.
Mm,
So we've alluded to some of the worries that dads men face when it comes to like thinking about their own mental health. And obviously we can use music as a tool, but let's bring some voice to the specific worries around mental health when it comes to becoming a new dad. What do
right.
you think some of the worries are?
Well, the first is that I think every dad somewhere, whether he wants to admit it or not, puts himself in question because it's
Yeah.
one thing to say, "Oh, I'm going to be a dad," and you're all excited about doing all the prep work, but then when they put this infant in your arms, and
Yeah.
that was what one of my songs was about, was just saying, "I know what you mean to me, and it's the world to me, but do you know who I am? I mean, you're not capable of expressing yourself. You're looking at me." Maybe you're cracking a smile or you're crying, but do you get it? Do you understand how much I love you? How the responsibility I feel towards you? And that's a heavy thing to handle, and we're used to in our life getting feedback on things, and an infant
Yeah.
is not capable of giving you that feedback, and therefore it compounds the worry and the concern about, am I up to this? Can I handle it? Am I going to be supportive enough to his mom or her mom?
Mhm.
So all of that, all of those things weigh on a dad, and then life goes on. You still got to go to work. You still got to
That can
cope with
provide,
all of the
yeah.
other aspects of your life. And in my case, at the time, I was
Mm.
traveling a lot, which was very difficult because I was away at a time when the baby and the family needed presence, and I wasn't there. But at the same time, you have to provide. That's part of your responsibility, and so it's balancing all of those things, which a
Strengthen.
lot of dads go through, and it's not easy.
Mm.
I mean, it's easier these days because we have all these wonderful tools. Like you and I are talking on different
Yeah,
continents right
we
now,
are.
having a video
Yeah.
chat. I mean, that's amazing when you think about when we were raised. If your dad had to go away
Yeah.
for work, I mean, that was it. You just didn't see him and
I
you were
sent
lucky
you a
maybe to
letter.
get a phone call once a week. These days, we are able. I mean, I text my kids. We can
Serious.
share things. We can talk. We can do FaceTime. We can do all of that stuff. So it's made it easier. At the same time, it somehow makes a stronger pain there because you're realizing how much you're missing
Yeah,
in
that's
front of
true.
you all the time. And again, all of those things. I mean, these are good problems to have if we're happy and we're healthy, we're able to work, we're able to provide for our families. I
Yeah,
always try to look at it from that point of view. These are good problems to have. Okay, I'm
good
away from my kids
problem.
because I'm traveling for work, but I'm fortunate to have a job. I'm fortunate to be healthy enough to be able to travel, and the kids are well taken care of. Their mom is on top of them. All of that is comforting at the same time. But
Yeah,
again, coming back to music, yeah, even when I'm away and I'm missing them, there are certain times where I go to certain songs, or I'll pick up my guitar and I'll play something that makes me feel a certain way, or sometimes makes me miss them more. But that's how I feel at that moment. I want to feel that I'm
yeah, this is
I'm more
beautiful.
longing and more um, wistful about it somehow.
Yeah, you're right. And we're literally heading there straight away. Let's just go to it. The encouragement piece. How do we find encouragement using music as a tool when thinking about our mental health when it comes to being dads? Because really, you've hit the nail on the head. Like, you feel
Yeah.
like when yeah, go on, go on.
Well, look, I mean, how do any of us find music? I mean, a lot of times it's people that in the old days we would hear it on the radio, but these days
Mm,
we'll see somebody share a song on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and so when someone shares a song, it's because it made them feel a certain way,
yeah,
and if it made them feel a certain way, it's chances are it has a good chance of making you feel the same way. And so, these are not specific individual things. It's not a mathematical equation. It's a feeling. And
so
so, yes, how do
true.
we encourage? By sharing songs with others, even if it's
So
not explicit. It's
true.
not saying, "Hey, Chris, I know you've been having a tough time as a new dad, so let me share this song with you." It doesn't have to be so, sledgehammer like that, but it's just
Yeah,
putting it out there. Hey, I love this song. This song reminds me of whatever, and someone else will take from it, and see that and say, "Wow, yeah, that I love that song too. That's really good. I never heard that before, but yeah, that makes me think of my kids, or it makes me be nostalgic, or whatever it
yeah,
happens to
this
be."
is
And so I
good.
think the encouragement is just in sharing. And music is something that's so natural to share, and it's so easy to share.
Using music as a tool to help our mental health, whether that be being like dads to be, or being new dads, or whether that being older dads like you and I, whatever. I think we do it. I'm gonna start. So I think
Go ahead.
number one thing that we can do, just based on the conversation of what we said today, number one that we can do is that we can share songs that bless us in times of struggle. So
Hmm.
like I've got like a little share button on my iPhone. I'm gonna be pressing that and sharing some music. And actually, let me put you on blast here because I'm gonna do it anyway. One thing you did to me is that you shared one of your songs that you wrote, and I listened to
Right.
that YouTube clip over and over again. It really made me smile. And like, I know, like, dads, we're not sometimes so emotional, but it's good to share things together.
Absolutely. That you made my day. I mean, that's the whole point of doing this is that as I
Yeah,
say, I did it for myself. It's because I'm
yeah,
processing, but it's sharing with others. And when you hear back from somebody saying, you made me smile or you made me cry or whatever it happens to be,
yeah,
it's the greatest thing you could say that's better than all the, downloads. And I'm not doing this because I expect to make any money out of it. I'm doing it because it's a passion of mine. And it's wonderful to share because again, we come back to in the end, what do you leave behind? Leave behind
yes.
what you shared with other people in the limited time that we have here in this form. What do you share with other people and how you make them feel?
And you do number two. What do you
I
think we
think
can
I
do?
think for those of us, for some people, music, expressing music themselves comes naturally, whether because
Yeah.
they had piano lessons or they like to just, tap their legs when they're listening to a song or they like to
Yeah.
dance or
The
whatever. I think any
rhythmic
way that any
people.
person can find to express themselves musically, I think is very therapeutic and really feels it makes you feel good. And you
Yeah.
even see these videos where I love watching these where they go into a nursing home and somebody who's just half dead practically. And then they put
Yeah.
on a song from the person's past and suddenly they come alive and
They
they
come
start talking like
alive.
and
Yeah.
so it's wonderful. I mean, we're not quite at that level, but even for the person who's not super expressive or doesn't feel comfortable with it, come on, we all
Yeah.
have those moments where we sing along to
We'll
a
have
song in the
those
car,
moments.
when no one's watching, right? Or
Yeah,
like
it's so
it's like no one's
true.
watching. You're in the shower. Put on a song that you like from whatever, from your teenage
So
years or whatever, and
true.
sing along to it. I think I want to encourage people to do that. It really
Yeah.
feels good, and it doesn't. You don't have to be someone like me, or forget about me. There's people who are much more advanced in this than me who create music. Everybody can express themselves through music. Everybody has a voice. You're given
That's
this
so true,
these
man.
vocal cords. Everyone's voice is unique. People say, "Oh, it's a good voice or a bad voice." No such thing. Everybody has a voice that expresses himself or herself, and everybody has fingers to snap. Everybody has legs, feet to tap. Use them. Use them.
Yeah,
It
it's
will
so
help.
true,
It will make you
man.
feel good.
It's so true. So I've got number three that I think.
Yes.
So based on what we said so far, I think number three, a really good thing, and I hope that I will do this as well, and I hope the listeners will do this, is make a playlist. I think making a playlist can be so, so wonderful because, and obviously there's different mediums, and like to be honest, like it depends on what you'll find that you can use. I use Spotify quite a bit,
Hmm.
so I know that I can make a playlist, and actually I can remove and add songs. And actually, I could have like a joy playlist. I could have like a sadness playlist.
Sure.
I could have like a encourage me playlist. I could have a workout playlist.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good thing to do.
You reminded me. I mean, you say things. We talk about this stuff as if it's new, but this is no different than making mixtapes back in the old days, right?
So true, you
I mean,
do.
again, it's a double-edged sword because
Yeah,
nowadays it's so much easier. Okay, and you can
yeah,
make, in an hour, you can make, as you say, a workout playlist, a joyful playlist, a sad playlist, or whatever playlist.
yeah.
In the old days, you're going to make a mixtape. You have to devote a Saturday, right,
Saturday is done.
right, and dubbing and and all that stuff,
Yeah,
which it meant that you had to put more time into and consideration into it. So, like making a mixtape for somebody in those days was like a monumental expression of
so
of the
true.
importance of that person to you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
these days it's easier to do, so it doesn't require as much investment of time or
That's the
emotion. But at
time.
the same time, it's more accessible. It's easier to share it. So yeah, I think that's great. Sharing playlists is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I would add one more there,
Go
which
on,
would
you
be
go on.
as a dad, um, find songs that you can listen to with your kids
Yeah,
that
that's what I
have.
was gonna say. That is so good.
And look,
Find songs
and
you
it's
can
okay
listen
if
to
they
with
say
your
this is so
kids.
cringy,
Yeah,
Dad, or this is horrible. I mean, I used to say that to my parents too when they would make us listen to certain songs. But in retrospect, it's nice. You don't need to overwhelm them. You don't need to bombard them with your taste. There's that famous Simpsons episode where Homer has to drive the kids to school and he's listening to his classic rock, and the kids are like, "Oh God, Dad, this is horrible!" and they can't wait to get out of the car. Um, but yeah, find songs that you think your kids can and you'd be surprised. There's things that they
yeah.
like. And you know what, Chris, what I notice is that nowadays when I play certain songs, the
Hmm.
kids know them already. I'm like, how would you know Dream On by Aerosmith? How would you know Roundabout by Yes? Like because of memes. Like they're just,
Yeah,
they're scrolling and they see these memes and these songs are used in memes. And it's like, oh yeah, I've heard I know the beat of Billie Jean. I'm like, how do you know that? You've not, they
yeah,
don't hear that on the radio. But so that again, it makes it easier for us to share things from our era with them that were meaningful
yeah. That's
and
it.
and carry that on because it's nice to be able to and look if you're lucky enough that they take an interest in it and they'll say, "Hey, I like that song." Um, that's wonderful. But even if not, impart something on them through the songs that you play for them. That would be my
That's
my
it.
point.
So good. Oh man, there we go. Four little things that we can do to use music as a tool to
Yes.
improve our mental health. And yeah, I think we've given the listeners a lot to think about there. There's many things that they can do, we can do.